Hello everyone! In our last video we learned about type conversion and typecasting, how Java handles converting values between different data types. Today we are going to learn about arithmetic operators in Java. Let me write in my screen. Arithmetic operators. So arithmetic operators are the tools that allow us to perform mathematical calculations in our programs. By the end of this video, you will learn all 5 arithmetic operators, how assignment operators work, and the difference between pre and post increment and decrement operators. Before we dive in, let's quickly understand what an operator actually is. An operator is simply a symbol that tells Java to perform a specific operation on one or more values. So, an operator is simply a symbol that tells Java to perform a specific operation on one or more values. Those values are called operands. The values are called operands. For example, in the expression A plus B, plus symbol is the operator. The plus symbol is the operator, and A and B are the operands. Now let's look at the 5 arithmetic operators. Let's first create 2 variables to work with. So I choose the data type integer or int. The variable name is num1 equal 11 and the semicolon. The second variable int num2 equal 12 and semicolon. Now let's apply all 5 arithmetic operations. So the first one that I get started with is addition. With the symbol, I define or create a new variable named result equal num1 plus num2 and the semicolon. Now let's try to print the value of result. In the parentheses, I write result, the name of the variable. Let's run the program. (11 plus 12), the result is 23. Now let's go for the next operator, which is subtraction with the symbol. Let's default another variable, result2 equal num1 minus num2 and the semicolon. Now let's print the result. In the parentheses, I write the name of the variable, result2. Okay, and the result is -1. Now let's go for the next one. Next operator, which is multiplication with this symbol. I define another variable, result3 equal num1 multiplied by num2 and the semicolon. Let's print the result. System.out.println or print line and the parentheses. Inside the parentheses we write the name of the variable, which is result3, and at the end of the sentence or line we add semicolon. Now let's run the program. The result is 132. Now let's go for the next operator, which is division with this symbol. So let's define or declare another variable named result4 equal num1 divided by num2 and the semicolon. You can either write system.out.println one by one, or you can just simply write out and press control button on your keyboard and then press space button 2 times. 1, 2, and finally press enter. Inside the parentheses you can write the name of the variable, which is result 4. Now let's result 4. Okay, just to avoid such kind of errors, result, you can simply copy the name of the variable and paste it here. Such kind of actions will avoid any errors. Now let's run the program. Okay, the output is 0. 11 divided by 12, the result is 0. Wait, why is the result 0? 11 divided by 12 should be 0.916, but we are getting 0. This is because of something called integer division, and it is really important to understand. Let's talk about it right now. When you divide the integers in Java, the result is always an integer. The decimal part is completely cut off. So 11 divided by 12 gives 0 because the result is 0.916. Let me write the result here. The result should be 0.916. And Java simply removes the decimal part, this part. And Java simply removes the decimal part and then leaving just 0. Let's try another example. Int a2 equals to 10 semicolon, int b2 equals 3 and semicolon. Now let's write system.out.print and inside the parentheses we write the name of the new variable, or we can just simply write e2 divided by b2 and semicolon. Now let's run the program. Okay, the result is 3, not 3.33. It's not 3.33. To get a decimal result, at least one of the values must be a decimal. So to get a decimal result, at least one of the values must be a decimal type. Let's have an example. I write south. Okay, inside it, I do not declare any variable directly inside the parentheses. I just write the values. 10.0, one of values is a decimal, divided by 3. Now let's run the program. Okay, now we see that we have a decimal value as a result. As soon as one of value is a double, Java promotes the order to double before dividing, and we get the correct decimal result. This connects back to what we learned about type promotion in our last video. I hope you have watched the last video. So now let's talk about the fifth arithmetic operator, which is modulus operators. Operator represented by this symbol. The modulus operator gives you the remainder. You write it, gives the remainder. So after division, not the result. Let's have an example to make it more clear. And C, we have two variables. And C equals 10 semicolon, and E equals 3 and semicolon. Now let's write. Now let's print the result. C modulo E. Let's print and run the program. Okay, we get the result as 1. 10 divided by 3. 10 divided by 3 is 3 with a remainder of 1 in here. And that remainder is exactly what the module operator gives you. Now here is why module is useful in programming. One of the most common uses in checking whether a number is even or odd. For example, For example, if number modulus 2 equals 0, the number is even. Let me write it. If number modulus 2 equals to 0, the number is even. And if the number modulus 2 does not equal 0, the number is odd. That's interesting, right? For example, I write the values of the two values inside the parentheses, 10 modulus 2. Let's run the program. The result is 0. 10 modulus 2. The remainder is 0. So the number 10 is an even number. Let's write one more. 7 modulus 2. Let's run the program. The outcome is 1. So it means 7 is an odd number. Now let's talk about assignment operators. You already know the basic assignment operator, which is the equal signs. Assignment operators. For example, int num3 equals 11. Equals 11. This assigns the value 11 to the variable num3. Please always remember that the value in the right hand side is assigned to the variable into the left side. So this assigns, now in this example, assigns the value 11 to the variable num3. But Java also has compound assignment. Let me write it here. Compound assignment operator that combine assignment with arithmetic, making your code shorter and cleaner. So let me write it here as well. Combine assignment with arithmetic. So let's have some example. Let's start from add and assign. Add and assign. Add and assign. Don't worry, with the examples everything will be clear. And we have another variable named num4, and num4 equals 1 and semicolon. Now I want to add another value to this num4. I write num4 plus equal 1 and semicolon. Let me write this out and print num4. Let me run the program. The output is 2. The output is 2. What happened here? We have a variable named num4 with value 1, and we want to add one more value to num4. We write the name of the variable and then add or plus symbol equal assignment and then 1. So let's go for the next example. Okay, before going to next assignment, let me explain it a little bit more. Num4 plus 1 is simply, let me write it here, is simply a shortcut for num4 equal num4 plus 1. I think this one is much clearer to understand the concept now. It takes the current value of num4, which is 1, and adds 1 to it and assign the result back to num4. Is it interesting, right? We take the current value of num4, which is 1, and add this 1 to it and assign it back to num4. So let's have one more example. This time to num4, which is 1, the value of num4 is 1. We add another value, which is 5, for example. I write plus assign 5 and semicolon. Let me run the program now. Num4. This time the value is 7. Why? Because num4, the value assigned to num4 is 2, and we add 5, which is now 7. It simply means num4 equals num4 plus 5 and semicolon. The value of num4 after this operation was 2, and then we added 5. 2 plus 5 is equal to 7. We can do the same with subtraction. Minus symbol equal subtract and assign. Int, let's have another variable, int num5 equals to 10 and semicolon. Let me write num5 minus equals 1 and semicolon. Let me print the value of num5. I run the program and the result is 9. Actually, num5 minus equals 1 is a subtract form of num5 equals num5 minus 1 and semicolon. The value of num5 is 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. And this value is assigned back to num5. So this combined operators make your code clean and easier to read. Otherwise, both ways are okay. So now let's talk about two very special operators, the increment and decrement operators, which I'm sure you are already familiar with these two concepts. Increment adds 1 to a variable, and decrement subtracts 1 from a variable. Don't worry, we will have plenty of examples to make it clear. These come in two forms, the increment and decrement, post and pre, and understanding the difference between them is really important. So let's talk first about post, increment, and decrement. As I said, we have two forms for increment and decrement, post and pre-increment and decrement. First, we talk about post-increment. Let's have one example. We have one variable with the data type of integer, int num6 equals to 1 and semicolon. Now let's increment it. We write num6. To increment, we add two plus sign, num6 plus and semicolon. Let me write the values. We say to increment means we add one value to the variable. So the value is 1. To add one more to it, the output should be 2. Let me write the name of the variable inside the parentheses, run the program, and the answer is 2. So let's decrement it. Int num7 equals to num7 minus and semicolon. It means the value of num7 is 2. We subtract 1 from the variable num7. It means 2 minus 1 should be 1. Let me run the program. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't write this out. Num7. Now run the program. And the output is 1. Now let's talk about, this one was post increment and decrement. Post means after, means we add the symbols or the operator after the variable's name. Look, we added after the variable's name here. Post means after. Pre means before. Let's now talk about pre, increment, and decrement, I write another variables int num6 equals to. I hope the variables names are clear, understandable, and readable. It is the way that I have used to name the variables, like write num and then add a number next to it. If you are not comfortable with naming the variables in this way, you can use your own favorite one or interest one. So int num6 equals to. Now let's add the operator assignment before the variable's name. Plus num8 and semicolon. Now let's write this out. Inside this out, write the variable names, and now let's run the program. The value is 3, means inside the num8 is 2, we add 1 to 2 is equal to 3. So now let's decrement the value. I write minus num8 and the semicolon. This out, write the name of variable, name 8, I'm sorry. Let me, oops, I have made a mistake. Num8. The value is 2. Why 2? Because 2 was already plus, or decrement with 1 was 3, and 3 minus 1 is 2. So, when used alone, like this, pre and post look identical in their results, but the difference becomes very clear when we use them inside an expression or assignment. Let me show you the key difference with really clear example. That why pre and post increment and decrements are different. Post increment actually post increment assign first, then increment. This is so important to remember. Post increment assign first, then increment. Let's have an example. Int num9 equals to 5 semicolon. Int, let's write or name a new variable's name to make the example more clear. Int copy, and we assign the num9 value inside copy plus. Please remember that plus here means to the value of num9 we add value 1. So after adding num9 plus 1, we assign the value inside copy. Let me print the value of both num9 and copy variable. Do you remember that I said after the operation, the new value is assigned to the variable back? So let's run the program and see the difference. Okay, the value of num9 is 6 and the value of copy is 5. While we say after the increment or decrement, the value is assigned to num9 and the same to the variable inside left side. So there is the difference. In post increment, Java assigns the current value of num9 to copy and then increment num9. I hope it's clear, not so sophisticated. In Java, here, the value of num9, which is 5, is first assigned to copy, and then increment or decrement is done. Like num9 value is 5 is assigned to copy, which the value is already 5, right? The value of here is assigned to this variable. But in post increment or decrement, then the operation of increment is done. Then the number 1 is added to num9. That's why when I run the program for num9, the value of 5 is plus 1 is 6 is shown here. I hope it's clear. So copy gets the original value of 5 and num9 becomes 6 afterwards. Now let's have the same example for increment. Pre increment and decrement. So pre-increment first, increment first, and then assign. That's the difference. Let me declare a new variable named num10 equals 5 and semicolon, and copy2 equals plus plus num10 and semicolon. Let's run the program for both variables num10 and copy2. I run the program. 6. In pre-increment, Java first increments number num10 from 5 to 6 and then assigns that new value to copy2. So both copy and num10 end up as 6. Okay, look. In post-increment, assigns first, then increment, but in pre-increment, increment first and then assign. That's why the value of num10 and copy2 are the same, 6 and 6. So let me summarize this clearly here. In post, assign first and then increment, but in pre, increment first and then assign. Okay, so first we increment, first num10, which is 5, is plus 1 is 6, then the value of 6 is assigned to copy2. And that is arithmetic operators in Java. Let's do a quick recap. Operators perform operations on operands. The 5 arithmetic operators are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulus. Okay. Integer division truncates the decimal part. Use a decimal type to get a decimal result. The modulus operator gives you the remainder after division, very useful for checking even and odd numbers. Assignment operators like plus, equal, and minus equal combine arithmetic and assignment into one clean shortcut. Increment, plus plus, and decrement, minus minus, add or subtract one from a variable. Post increment, assign first then increment. Pre-increment, increment first and then assign. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a lesson. See you in the next one.